Hello, I'm Debbie from Off Topic with things I didn't plan to learn. And let's go on this topic today. It's going to be about the homeless and how they are feeling invisible. I spent a lot of time in Grecia, Costa Rica with the homeless. I was with them almost 7 days a week, doing various things. On Saturdays, I was in a group that fed them breakfast. It was a group of people that it wasn't affiliated with any church or anything, but it was a group of people that got together and we each took a different job. Like one person would make gallo pinto, another would make platanos, another would bring coffee, another would bring uh, forks and knives and all those kinds of things and so on, and we would have a little breakfast for them every Saturday morning. And we had tables that we set up and chairs that we set up for them, and we put tablecloths on the tables, just to make it feel really special for them because they didn't ever even get to sit on a chair. So this was really a special thing. And we would sit next to them, or we would have them in groups on their tables. They could sit with all their friends, and then we would walk around and serve them, see if they needed anything else. And it was a really fun time. We would talk with them and joke with them and laugh, and we knew all their street names because usually they have a different name than their given name. They usually have a name like maybe the city that they were born in, or maybe um, something like Chihuahua. Um, they just had different street names that they were called. And so we knew them by their street names. And some of us um, knew some of them in other ways. Like some people lived near some of them, some people had known them their whole lives. One of the people in our group was related to one of the women that was homeless. Um, so we knew them quite well. And we would have a little message from the Bible every week, and we would talk about, trying to get them to stop drinking alcohol. And that was basically what we did every week. So besides that, I made earrings and bracelets and necklaces with the homeless at the park every week. Sometimes it was 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, and sometimes it was alternating. Sometimes I would be all set up to make them and nobody would show up. That was very rare though. Usually they did show up. After a while, after I did this for months and months, I saw how hard they worked, and then I would take them out for lunch at a little soda inside the mercado, which is the marketplace where the fruits and vegetables are sold. And inside there would be different little restaurants that you would sit like on a stool outside, and in the middle would be the cooks. And so the first time that I ever took them there, I took 4 people with me, and everybody looked at us kind of like, I don't know if we're gonna want them to be here. But once they all ordered a meal and I paid for all the meals, and the manager got paid for 5 meals because I ate also, then they were happy to have us come back day after day. So we would go in there and eat, and they got a chance to eat a really good meal, and they got to pick whatever they wanted. And a lot of times they would get some kind of soup, or their favorite kind of soup, modongo or whatever it would be. And it was a great thing. And then I felt better about it because then I knew that after we got finished making the jewelry, they didn't just go and start drinking. They had a really good meal inside of them. So as I was walking around with them day to day, um, I would see that the other people in the town, would pretty much ignore them. They would just look away when they saw them, or they would just hurry by, or they would come up to me and say, "Get away from them! Don't go by them!" And I would tell them I'm fine. They're my friends. Um, but they were very standoffish. They wouldn't say hello, they wouldn't wave, they wouldn't do anything. Um, One of the students that I had in English used to jog in town, and so after she knew about that, she started waving at them and saying hello as she was passing by, and so I was really happy about that. And then her family was really kind enough to donate a whole bunch of clothes for them too. So they were able to get some really great clothes from them, as well as some of the other English students who donated clothes. Um, I think that when I was meeting with the English students, I was making them aware of the situation of how bad they felt about themselves because nobody talked to them. And I think that that helped them, and they probably told their friends about it, and kind of helped a little bit to get the word out that they were feeling very, very isolated. Now, their daily lives um, consisted of waking up in the morning from sleeping on a piece of cardboard on the ground, or um, maybe on a park bench with a piece of cardboard on it. And if it was raining out, well, then they had to find a place where they could sleep where it was dry. So they would look for a store that had an overhang on it, and they would sleep in front of that, but that didn't really guarantee them to keep dry. Um, Sometimes they would even go into a ditch and crawl inside a tube or something. Um, Although that would be really dangerous because it could be flooded. So they had to make creative ideas of how they could sleep when it was raining out. Um, they would look for food in the trash cans. They tried to do it discreetly when nobody was looking. They would go over and take a look to see if there was a bag in there that had uneaten food in it. And when the grocery stores put their garbage out, they would go before the garbage truck came and go through the bags and try to find anything that they could use. And they would get old meat, and sometimes they would go in a big group and they would go to an empty field and they would take an old tin can, like a big large tin can, and use that for a pot, and they would put some of the meat in there and try to boil it or cook it up as best they could. And if they got fruits and vegetables from the mercado that were spoiled, then they could throw those in there too, and then they would share the food with each other. Um, Once in a while there were families that would come to town and they would bring food on plates to give to them, and sometimes there would be something from the local church where they would give out food, but most of the time they didn't really have much to eat. Um, they did know some ladies in the town that would give them food if they went to their house. They would go outside their gate and knock, and they would say "Upe," and that's to say that somebody's here, and then the person would come and they might give them a little bit of food. Um, if they had to shave, I would see them go to the cars early in the morning. If there was a car parked out there, they would look in the side view mirror, and if they had a razor, they would try to shave themselves in the car's mirror, because they usually didn't have a mirror themselves. They might not have a comb or a brush or soap or toothpaste or a toothbrush. They might have none of the above. They usually just had a little bag or maybe a little backpack with maybe one shirt in it, or maybe a change of pants in it. Um, they really didn't own very much at all. And they didn't have any place to store anything. A lady once, it was a very, very cold day, and one of the women was really freezing, and she asked me to buy her a blanket, and I did. and I gave it to her. And then the next day I saw her and I said, "Where's the blanket?" And she said, "Oh, I left it. I left it on the bench." She said, "I can't carry that around with me. It's too heavy. I had to leave it there." So pretty much if you give them a sleeping bag or a blanket, they do not have any place to put it. As far as going to the bathroom goes, there are no free toilets, no free public toilets at all in Grecia. They would, there are some inside some of the stores, but they're not allowed to go into the stores, so they wouldn't be able to use those. So they would have to go into an alleyway or somewhere to go to the bathroom or go outside of town. And to take a bath, they would go to the river, or if there was a soccer field that had showers at it and nobody was there, they would go there and use the showers if they could. So pretty much most of the homeless did not talk about their families, but a few of them, I did find out that one man had graduated from college. He was an engineer, a water engineer, and his family was very wealthy, and he had all kinds of things at his family's house. He even had his own house on the compound, but he wasn't allowed to go there because he was an alcoholic. And the entire time that I knew him, which was probably 10 years, he lived on the streets. And he just did what everyone else did. And his family never came to help him, and they didn't even say hello to him if they passed by. One of the other men got hit by a car, and he had to go to the hospital, and when he was released, he went to his family's home to recuperate, and myself and one of my friends went to his house, and his family was really loving to him. They would do anything for him, and they really wanted him to stay at home, and they were willing to do anything for him. But he was an alcoholic too, and he wanted to be able to drink, so he left the home, and he never went for any follow-up medical care, and which he should have done, and he just went back on the streets and started drinking again. It's very difficult for the alcoholics to get rehabilitated. There are some rehabilitation places, but it's difficult to get in there. Usually you have to pay money to do that. There are Alcoholics Anonymous meetings, and there were Alcoholics Anonymous in English and in Spanish, and they knew where the meetings were, and some of them did attend those occasionally. The whole time that I knew these guys in Grecia, these men and women, I think I only saw 2 people that stopped drinking, and that was out of a group of like 40 people. And more new people moved into the area to take over, so now there's many more people living there, many more homeless. There was one person that was that had a mental illness, but it wasn't anything that was dangerous. It was a woman, and she was fine. So that wasn't a problem to worry about. Most of the people were alcoholics. A couple were drug addicts and alcoholics, and almost all of them were 40 years old or older. There were lots of young drug addicts that I saw, and I only knew 2 of them. And I'm going to have another video about them another day. But the drug addicts were much younger. The teenagers were the ones that got them into becoming drug addicts. The local teenagers were the ones that did that. So what I learned that I wasn't planning to learn was I was very surprised that the main thing that they were worried about was that they were being treated like they were invisible. And I felt that I was being treated like I was invisible when I walked around with them too. And it was a horrible feeling to feel invisible, to feel like nobody sees you except the other homeless people. It was really, really terrifying to feel like you were just part of a tiny group and the rest of the world was not including you at all. It was devastating. And I only experienced it for a short time when I was walking with them. Um, I can't imagine how they feel experiencing it day in and day out every day. If you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel. It's free. Please like the video. And also, if you have any comments, negative or positive, or you have any information that you could share from other homeless people you might know or homeless in your area, please put it down in the comments. I'm going to respond to every comment. Thank you so much for coming, and I really appreciate it.